We're all familiar with the overzealous guards that inhabit every corner of every city in Cyrodiil, ready to
stop
anyone who so much as steals a piece of bread.
It's all over, lawbreaker. Your spree is at an end. You violated the law. Take any pay the court a fine or serve your sentence. You're the law on my watch. Then pay with your blood.
For the more criminally inclined, they can be a real nuisance. But what if you played as one of these strict lawkeepers, keeping your bounty record squeaky clean as you attempt to answer the question, can you beat Oblivion without breaking the law? If you haven't seen the 3 other videos where I beat the modern Fallout games without breaking the law, check them out. I'll put the links in the description. The rules for this challenge are, well, I'll be real, there are none. This is more of a vibes-based challenge. I'll be judging each of my actions against a legal framework provided in-game to see if I can legally justify them or not. Obviously, there is the bounty system and character statistics to keep track of your criminal activity. I'm still going to use that, don't get me wrong, but not every situation is cut and dry. Now, with all that out of the way, let's give the forces of injustice a lesson they'll never forget. We start off in the Imperial prison, detained for an unknown crime. Okay, well, Uriel says,
"Perhaps the gods have placed you here so that we may meet."
And we have no idea why we're actually in prison. We could have been framed, wrongfully accused, or screwed over by a corrupt guard. Since we can't say whether we deserve to be in prison or not for sure, we can't call the run a failure right off the bat. I pick Imperial as they're the most law and order obsessed of all the races, and try to make myself perpetually look like a stern douchebag cop. Yeah, I think I nailed it. In my other without breaking the law challenges, I was Deputy Asskick, but since we're in a fantasy setting, I call myself Captain Asskick instead. I know Deputy was used back in medieval times, but it doesn't sound as fitting. As the Emperor and his bodyguards appear, I back against the wall and stay put, following their orders. Then they tell me to stay out of their way, so I take this order as literally as possible by serving my time in prison. Unfortunately, since I was never meant to be here in the first place, nobody comes to let me out, and I starve to death in my cell. Okay, I'll go with them. After all, since I'm not supposed to be here, staying here is technically trespassing, so following the Emperor is actually more legal. A fight breaks out, but since I'm unarmed and unarmored, I stay by the Emperor's side and protect him. Captain Renault was killed in the attack, so I attempt to give her CPR compressions. It doesn't work, but at least I tried. Boris gives me an order to stay here and not follow him. That is, before I'm attacked by a cantankerous rodent of unusual size. Seeing no other option, I punch the rat, killing them in self-defense. I didn't mean to kill them, simply knock them out, but I suppose it can't be helped. I really hope this guy didn't say, "I'm not gonna die sitting down," before he died, or his ghost will feel really stupid. Well, with my way blocked and no other option unless I want to starve to death, I continue on, disobeying Boris's orders. I then practice self-defense against another rat before coming to a dilemma. The door to continue on is locked. Lockpicking is considered a crime, and doing so would be tampering with and possibly damaging Imperial property, never mind that I don't even know who the lockpicks legally belong to. However, the key made by the Imperials specifically to open the door has been stolen by a goblin, so I decide it's better to search the goblin's corpse, retrieve the stolen property, and use it for its intended purpose. I make up for this later, don't worry. There are 2 rats in this section that are actually friendly to you, and one who is taken out by a zombie, so I don't touch them. As for the zombie, I thought he was just coming up to me for a high five. I take a defensive position in case it was a fluke, but nope, he's trying to kill me. So, once more, I defend myself. To be fair, he's not even supposed to be alive in the first place. I'm just returning things to how they should be. After booping a few more rats on the snoot, I come across my first goblin. At first, I thought the guy was just curious, as he doesn't attack me, so I stay calm and let him approach and ow! You little fucker. Okay, that's it, I gave you enough chances. In case you're curious, yes, I let all the goblins attack me first before responding, and no, I didn't use the log trap against them. Also, healing spells are legally fine as it's magic, not some form of illegal narcotic. As I was told to stay put and keep my distance before, I hang out on top and wait for the Emperor and his liege to move on. However, the Emperor is waiting for Destiny to catch up with him, so I calmly approach and don't resist or flee, even when Glenroy threatens to kill me. The Emperor calls him off, so no harm done. For my birth sign, I picked the Lady. It's a bit of a boring one, but also practical for most situations. Extra health and stamina never hurts. Boris then orders me to carry a torch and stick close, so I oblige. Again, no weapons or armor, and I'm not specifically ordered to help fight the Mythic Dawn, so I stay out of it. I am then ordered to stay and guard the Emperor with my life, but after the Emperor gives me clear instructions to give the amulet to Joffrey, I sadly fail that task. Boris tells me to go along with the Emperor's wishes and gives me a key to escape. Since he is a Blades official, I can use it freely. As it turns out, Boris is pretty bad at reading people, as he guesses that I'm a barbarian when I acted more like a monk up until now. It's irrelevant as I make my own class, choosing the 2 attribute the Lady sign boosts, and choosing Armorer, Athletics, Block, Heavy Armor, Mercantile, Restoration, and Speechcraft as my skills, leaning more on the defensive side of things. I name this class Guard. The escape is nothing out of the ordinary besides this rat who phases through a door and is oddly nice to me. Maybe it's the same rat I spared earlier, the one who ran from that zombie. Following the Emperor's and Boris's orders to return the Amulet of Kings right away, I head to Wayne Priory and get Joffrey's location from Aranor, the shepherd. I knock on the door to be polite, but nobody answers. I hand the amulet over to Joffrey and he sends me to find Martin, a potential heir to Uriel's throne, so we can relight the dragon fires to keep the Daedra out of Mundus. But first, I have something much more important to do. I head into the Imperial City prison office and give back my wrist irons and the iron key I used to escape, as they're technically still Imperial property. As soon as I arrive in Kvatch, however, a fugly high elf rants and raves about how the place is a smoking, demon-infested ruin and that I should run while I still can. So I do. I'm just an ordinary man with no equipment. No way in Oblivion I'm going in there. In fact, I follow Hurtle as, 1, I was curious as to what happens when you do, and 2, I figured he knows the best way to get to safety. On the way, I come across a hostile puppy who I attempt to calm down with a spell so I don't have to kill it, but this doesn't work. So I reluctantly punch the poor thing's lights out in self-defense. Later on, I'm assaulted by a bandit with a warhammer, but the thing is, he's so slow, I can just leisurely walk away from him as he tires himself out. Since he's not going to give up anytime soon, I try to use my Star of the West power as sort of a taser to knock him out without killing him.
I'm just warming up, you pathetic worm.
It only knocks him down for a second, so that doesn't work. Therefore, I have to resort to knocking his block off. Again, I attempt chest compressions to no effect, and then try reporting the man's death to a guard to get things cleared up, although that doesn't work. You see, back in medieval times, bandits are considered outlaws and thus could legally be hunted without legal repercussions, the bounty for killing one the same as killing a wolf. I'm not going to use this to justify seeking out bandits to kill, I'm still only going to defend myself when necessary, but I thought it was worth bringing up. Speaking of which, I am accosted by a highway cat who quickly gives up once he realizes I'm dirt poor. I feel bad for him more than anything. I end up losing Hurtel in the chaos, but don't worry, we'll see him a bit later. Well, with my orders to find Martin binding me, I head up to Kvatch only for Salvius to order me to stay in the encampment. Okay. Alright, that's the last time I'm gonna do that gag, I swear. No, the orders of the Empire's Secret Service are more important than those of Kvatch's local militia, and besides, he doesn't even mind me offering to help, so no harm done. There's just one teensy-weensy little problem, however. I'm still unarmored and unarmed. I'm gonna need to make some gold somehow, since I can't loot corpses or buildings, even things like enemy forts and ruins. After all, I'm not sure who exactly owns all that stuff, and I want to err on the side of caution if I can. Buying equipment is the best choice at this moment, but the thing is, how can I make enough gold without being able to loot and sell things? I run around Anvil asking about rumors until I hear one about a gang of home-wrecking bandits who prey on simps. Seeking an opportunity to restore justice, I go to talk to Gogan when I see his house is locked. Well, the quest directs me to the Flowing Bowl, so I head there only to find nothing. You're supposed to wait in here and trigger the bandits to come in and try to seduce you. However, this doesn't work for me. I do find Hurtle here, which is quite cool. I never actually knew he went anywhere, figured he just vanished from the game. While waiting for something to happen, I see a bottle of beer that has been knocked over, and wanting to do a good deed, I turn it back upright. However, this causes the bar owner to call me a thief, the guard to arrest me, and when I refuse to be detained for committing no crime, the guards murder me in the middle of the bar. Well, that was uncalled for. Reloading a save, I wait on the docks for the bandits to arrive when a conjurer appears out of nowhere, attacks me, kills an orc, and then is simultaneously killed by a lady with a dagger and a guard's arrow. Okay, who the hell did I piss off for that to happen? Thinking that the quest is broken, I head to Shadenhall to—
Get out of my way before I have you slapped in irons.
Alright, jeez. To help a lady's husband who got trapped inside a painting. Oh great, now the game has an Instagram filter slapped over it. The gist is that Rife the painter's magic paintbrush was stolen by a thief, and I have to get it back for him. I assumed this would be as easy as running to the body and returning Rife's rightful property. However, if you don't kill the painted trolls here, Rife will never open a portal home, even if they have no way of reaching him. So until I get a weapon, this quest is a bust, as you can't apply the turpentine he gives you to your fists. Reloading a save once more, I try another quest based on thievery and a painting, only this one is about recovering a painting, not a paintbrush. The Countess of the Hold gives me explicit legal permission to search the entire castle, so I'm in the clear. However, since I have the attention span of a housefly, I head back to Anvil only to see Gogan walking in the streets, finally letting me talk to him and start up his quest. He describes the bandits like this.
I was sitting in the flowing bowl when the most fetching Nordwoman you've ever seen walked in with an equally attractive Imperial woman following.
But I don't know. This lady is giving me serious creepy vibes. Like, you don't have to smile that wide all the time. Regardless, I play along for now, traveling to Dunbarrow Cove only to see that Fog Eyes is unconscious? Who is Fog Eyes? Why is he unconscious? No clue. That's not important. Dishing out justice is. I let the girls know that I'm here to get the ring back, but they don't comply, so I'm forced to defend myself once again. I notice one of them is using a blade that drains my intelligence. I suppose she has a mind break fetish. Either way, I managed to punch the women out cold easily enough, and then I'm rewarded by Gogan and Melona, who it turns out were undercover guards this whole time. They assure me that they will clean up the mess, and they don't blame me for defending myself. Plus, they give me a nice 100 gold. And when I leave, this random deer is right in front of me. Finally able to purchase some equipment, I stare longingly at the Truncheon of Submission, which damages stamina and restores health on hit, meaning it can't kill anyone. It would be a perfect way to non-lethally subdue foes acting as my baton, but it's far too expensive and only has 30 charges at that. I want to save up for a good weapon, so for now I only buy some leather boots and a fur helmet. Okay, back to finding the painting. Interrogating the witnesses involves having a high disposition with them, and since using a charm spell on them would be illegal, you know what that means.
What a wonderful compliment. No,
you're
you
revolting.
do me too. Are you serious?
That's excellent.
Really? Well done. You're
Get away, suck.
No, you do. You can't.
Can't do better than that. That's
Foul. That's enough. You're pathetic. That's not bad.
That's great. Don't talk such rot.
With the evidence gathered, I can point out one fatal flaw in Chanel's explanation. She says that she was outside taking star readings, however, it was raining that night. Surely the raining clouds would block her view of the stars. What's more, I find a suspicious painting in one of the towers, paint stains in the dining room, and hidden painting supplies in Chanel Perfume's room, which points to her as the culprit. I have to say, Laith is also quite suspicious the way he's rudely standing on a table like that. With Chanel's disposition already high, I get her to confess to the crime, earning 200 gold and some gems I can sell for gold as a reward. I use this to buy a steel warhammer, but I'm smart and haggle so it's not as expensive. I chose a blunt weapon as it's more likely to disable someone rather than outright kill them or bleed them to death, like with a bladed weapon. Now with a way to properly defend myself, I head back into the painting world and easily erase the trolls using the turpentine Wraith gives you. I then realized that, since these are just paintings on a canvas and not real creatures, there's nothing stopping me from taking the painted troll fat from their bodies, which sells for a large amount of gold. I hunt down all the trolls in the area before escaping and being rewarded with an apron that is much better than my raggedy-ass shirt. Speaking of alchemy ingredients, I realized that picking flowers in the wilderness that aren't owned by anyone and selling them isn't illegal as far as I can tell. I'm not gonna pick anything toxic or narcotic in nature like mushrooms, but lavender, ginseng, and mookshoot seem innocent enough. Unfortunately, the apron doesn't see much use as I quickly sell it to afford a full set of armor, an iron bow, and some arrows just in case I need them. I then sell my alchemy ingredients before heading back to the prison once more, where I wash and return my prison outfit to its rightful owner. I really am a stickler about this, aren't I? In Kvatch, Vonius meets a rather unsavory death as he wipes out a scamp, only to be killed by a Rolling Rock's messed up hitbox. Once more, compressions don't work, so I drag his body away from the lava so it doesn't fall in. It's the least I can do for a fallen comrade. Like with all enemies I face, I let the scamps and Dremora try to attack me first before I attack back, which due to my weak armor and low-level restoration skill isn't too good for my health. Regardless, I managed to scrape through due to my hammer having good power attacks and staggering quite often. I have to take a key from the Sigil Keeper's body, but this is fine as I'm doing this to prevent what are essentially terrorists from further attacking Kvatch. Wish there was some way to save this guy, but it can't be helped. I accidentally power attacked to my death, which inclines me to switch to my bare fists, as they attack faster with a lower fatigue cost. The Sigil Stone has a disintegrate weapon effect, which I imagined could come in handy for disarming my foes instead of having to kill them, but I never end up using it to its full potential. I add it to my steel warhammer and dub it the Disarmer, not because it lops off people's arms from their shoulders, of course. The rest of Kvatch is simple due to the guards on my side, although the clan fears can inflict a scary amount of damage on me. I easily convince Martin of his destiny and to come with me, and with the civilians escorted out, I leave Kvatch for now. I head back to the Priory only to see it besieged by cultists, and the Amulet of Kings stolen. We all agree to head to Cloudroller Temple to formulate a plan of action, where Martin is crowned Emperor by the Blades. Well, except this one who didn't sync up with the others. And this one's blocking Martin's face as well. Okay, is it that hard to act properly in the presence of the Emperor? The good news about Cloudroller Temple is that the equipment here is free for the taking, it's not stealing, and one of the Blades even confirms this outright. Therefore, I get a snazzy new katana and a set of armor that should prove more than adequate for now. My next task is to see Boris for more information on the cult that murdered the Emperor. Out of curiosity, I wondered what would happen if I pickpocketed the Mythic Dawn agent's book from him.
Take it. It's worthless to me anyway.
Wow, this guy must not be a devout follower of Dagon. Reloading a save, I follow Boris's orders to follow him, and once he attacks, I help out the best I can. I then have to take the book off his corpse. However, since this is part of an investigation during a time of war, and I'm being tasked by the Empire's Blades, I think it's fine. I attempt to inform the owner about the dead guy in his basement so we can report it to the authorities, but no dice. I get Volume 2 from the Lizard Wizard, although if she knew the Frost Breath shout, I could call her a Gizzard Blizzard Lizard Wizard. Sorry. As I walk into the library for the third volume, I notice a vase that fell off the shelf. I attempt to put it back on the shelf to be nice, but it doesn't fit for some reason. Again, I am murdered for my attempted good deed. Getting the third volume from Gwynnis is trivial. Just remind him that he's implicating himself into the Emperor murdering cult, and he hands it to you without a fight. I'm still not sure why there's a sheep in the Tiber Septim Hotel, though. The fourth volume requires me to go undercover in the Mythic Dawn. I see this like being an undercover cop. Not illegal since I have the authority to do so by the Blades. To be fair, I don't actually attack the Mythic Dawn until they attack me first. It's a tough fight to be sure, but with healing and blocking, I managed to come out on top. The same cannot be said for Boris. No, come on, wake up, buddy. Stay with me. No, Boris! Okay, whatever, let's get the book and get out of here. Now with all 4 copies, I use them to reveal the hidden path to the Mythic Dawn's base of operations. Nothing much interesting happens on the way except for me drowning to death in this random patch of air. I go undercover and patiently listen to Cameron's speech until he leaves, where the Mythic Dawn then asks me to murder someone in cold blood. I draw the line at that, causing them to attack me. I use this opportunity to take the Xerxes and then run and jump around like a madman, giving them plenty of time to reconsider their actions, and more importantly, letting them accidentally shock each other to death. Eventually, I get fed up and start throwing some hands in self-defense. I eventually manage to take down Harrow and get all my hard-earned stuff back, before donning it and making my escape.
You are weak, like the gods you pray to.
What's that?
I give up!
Alright, I accept your surrender. Yeah, I don't fight any of the ones who just run from you, as this is an infiltration mission, not a slaughter. Yeah, go on. Run off and tell the others that Captain Asskick is coming for them. With the book returned, I buy an iron chestplate from Morvain before heading outside of Bruma to deal with some Mythic Dawn spies. As soon as I approach, the spies don armor and attack me, only that I find out they're much tougher than the other Mythic Dawn I've fought so far. After running away and healing, I manage to take out Ural, and then lead Severi into Bruma so me and the guards can work together to stop her. I wish the guards had tried to arrest her first, but what's done is done. I go to Bird to get permission to search Ural's house when the camera decides to do this.
Head up. I'm Captain Bird, commander of the Bruma Guard. I'm going to authorize you to search Ural's house. I'll pass the word to my men. We won't interfere.
Ah, Bethesda never changes. Anyways, I get the enemy's plans from the search, and then I'm sent to recover a Daedric artifact. It doesn't matter which one. While I deliberate on which Daedric quest doesn't violate multiple Geneva conventions, I feel Kvatch deserves my help after I left them hanging for so long. I'm much better equipped for this early game quest, so there's not much to say, as the invading Daedra fall under the might of Cyrodiil. And my fists. Mostly my fists. Reporting the Count's death to Salvius gets me the Kvatch Curious as a reward, which I promptly sell along with some alchemy ingredients. Sorry, it's just not nearly as good as my current armor. Speaking of which, I use a repair hammer to fix up my gear, then buy a Fortify Fatigue and a Heal Major Wound spell, selling my Disarming Warhammer to afford them. The hammer is just too slow and heavy to be worth it, and these spells should help me get out of some sticky situations. I decide to put these spells to the test right away, as Lex the Guard wants me to deal with some skooma dealers, skooma being a highly illegal narcotic. I enter their drug den only to be attacked on sight. So I dispense some justice on Lenavo. My fatigue spell proves to be useful as it allows me to attack and block more often, earning me a victory. The other marauder tries to run me down, but I lead him into Lex, where he is swiftly slain. I earn some gold for fulfilling my duty. After some thought, I decide Azura's quest is the most lawful one I can do right now. Parite's quest would be better as it just involves helping some people stuck in a coma, but you need to be level 10 for that. Azura wants you to put some vampires out of their misery. Vampires are undead, and undead aren't legally classified as citizens in Cyrodiil, I'm pretty sure. Therefore, there's nothing illegal about slaying them, again, as long as it's in self-defense. And before you say entering their territory is trespassing, keep in mind that it's not their tomb and they have no legal right to the property. If anything, they're the ones trespassing. With that in mind, I head inside the tomb only to get attacked by the bloodsuckers, and I thought I had a clever strategy in mind. I'll just lure them outside and let the sunlight kill them, thus their deaths won't be on my hands. Unfortunately, this doesn't work, so I have to resort to a more messy solution. You see, swinging ball traps have weird physics that can do large amounts of damage even if the trap was already triggered. By letting the vampire run into the trap and, even better, power attack into it, it can be pushed into her hitbox in such a way that her health rapidly drains. It's still quite difficult as the vampires are well above my pay grade, but I manage. For the next two vampires, one of them dies to the trap again, while the other doesn't go down as easily. What I have to do is, get this, lure her into a nearby Oblivion gate and activate a fire trap, and due to vampires being weak to fire, it works like a charm. I try to use the same tactic on the next vampire, but there's no more traps to trigger, so I just slay her normally instead. Now, as for the final one, well, she's much too powerful to slay, and I have no more tricks up my sleeve, so I lead her on a wild goose chase through the mountains of Cyrodiil, picking up some wolves, scamps, and even a will-o'-the-wisp on the way. Great, now I have an angry mob hunting my ass down. I thought the worshippers of Azora could deal with them, but that plan gets dashed as the cultists are smeared across the floor with ease. I then lead them to the Temple of the Moth Priests, and while the monks do a decent job whittling them down as they are distracted by me, their lack of weapons and armor lead to them being thrashed. Well, stuck in this precarious situation, I remember that I have projectile weapons for the first time in this whole playthrough, as I unload every arrow I have into the vampire. This doesn't kill it, so I use my flare spell, which, due to the vampire's aforementioned weakness to fire, finally puts it down. With that clusterfuck of a quest over with, I get Azura's star and hand it over to Martin, then being tasked with teaching Captain Bird as the Word how to close Oblivion gates. Nothing much to say here, as Bird and his men are more than capable of wiping the floor with the Daedra, and there's nothing legally different here than the first Oblivion gate. I just have to make sure not to accidentally slice open any soldiers. The sigil stone ends up being silence, which I'm gonna save for a very special someone. On second thought, I should have named this sword the Right to Remain Silent, but oh well. My next task is to recover the armor of Tiber Septim from Sancre Tor. While this may seem like clear-cut grave robbing, keep in mind that the Empire's blades give me permission and even a key to enter, and Tiber Septim gave his armor to the blades in the past. Therefore, all I'm really doing is retrieving the blade's rightful property. I'm also tasked with giving aid to Bruma, and I decide to complete Anvil's Oblivion Gate since that is the city that got me my first equipment after all. It only makes sense to return the favor. I also get the support of Kvatch, as that requires virtually no effort. In the interest of saving my time and resources, I just run through the Oblivion Gate up to the top, which allows me to put my Fortify Fatigue spell to great use. The Sigil Stone lets me make a turn undead blade that I name Last Rites, which will be very important when facing a tomb full of skeletons and spirits. See, all I have to do is smack an enemy and they'll run away from me, so I can just move past them instead of attacking further. The undead blades, though, you have to kill to progress, although their spirits end up actually wanting this outcome so they can move on, so no big deal. The ghost spells can be dodged easily, and while the undead blades are no pushovers, turn undead plus a careful use of spells make short work of them. Okay, where the hell did that door sound come from? As I put the last blade to rest, my sword fully runs out of charge, which presents a problem. See, since I turned or run past all the ghosts instead of killing them, they followed me through the dungeon and are now ganging up on my ass. This leads to many deaths. Eventually, I find a solution. I use Star of the West to stun the blade, then score some solid power attacks on him. The ghost spells end up knocking him down again, where I quickly finish him off, but get knocked down myself in the process. Using Heal Major Wounds and closing the gate, the soul of the blade I killed blocks the ghost from reaching me, letting me heal in safety. Then, I'm able to heal and run away to the final room where I can retrieve the armor of Tiber Septim. After that, I must get a Great Welkin Stone from Miskarkand. Considering the Aliads were a hostile force that straight up don't exist anymore, either their ruins are unclaimed or claimed by the Empire that controls Cyrodiil. Either way, it's not a problem to take something from them with permission from the Empire's blades. There's not much to go over about the ruins themselves, as I can just let the undead and goblins fight each other while I run past them. Even if they do hit me, it does a laughable amount of damage. However, there's one problem. Taking the stone causes the Lich King of Miskarkand to appear and whoop my ass.
Fall.
He also locks all the doors until you defeat him. However, simply picking up the stone without putting it in your inventory, dragging it to the door, and then taking it before immediately going through the door allows me to escape unhindered. The final piece of the puzzle is a Great Sigil Stone, but to get it, we have to let an Oblivion Gate open outside of Bruma. The Countess of the city agrees to this, however. Like in my last run, the battle becomes a low FPS clusterfuck as the game can't handle so many enemies fighting at once, so I just desperately flail my arms around in an attempt to help. I barely make it into the Great Gate with my life, and again, like last time, parkour my way up to the tower. I run past everything except the Sigil Keeper that you have to kill and loot to get further in, take the Sigil Stone, and head back to Wayne Priory to open the portal of paradise and end this once and for all. I waste no time running straight to Cathutet, where I agree to help him instead of outright killing him here and now. He wants me to free a fellow Daedra from his imprisonment, so I head over to do so only for this to happen.
Get away from there! If I can just...
Well, that was an interesting reaction to being hit by a boulder. The rest goes as standard. I put on the bands of the Chosen, almost get dunked into lava, run past everything, get the bands removed, and finally stand before...
You cannot stop Lord Dagon. I will present your...
And finally stand before the leader of the Mythic Dawn terrorist cult, Mankar Cameron. I wait until his speech is over so he attacks me first. Then I use the Silence Enchanted Blade to slay him so he can't cast any spells. I'm very glad I saved the charge on that thing. With him dead, his paradise collapses and I now have to accompany Martin for his inauguration as the Emperor. However, the city is being attacked by Daedra in the wake of Cameron's demise, and not only that, but the big red bastard Dagon is here to cause chaos. I get Martin to the Temple of the One, where he uses the Amulet of Kings to turn into his fursona, slaying Mehrunes Dagon at the cost of his own life, and proving that you might be able to beat Oblivion without breaking the law. It depends on how you interpret it. Hey everyone, thanks for watching yet another video. I appreciate any support you can give me so I can make similar content for you in the future. If you liked the video, leave a like or subscribe. It only takes a second, but it helps me grow a ton. If you didn't like the video, leave a dislike and give constructive criticism so I can improve. Also, leave your ideas for new videos in the comments. I read all the comments that come my way and put your ideas at the end of each video. Who knows, your idea might even become an official video. If you really want to support me, go to my Patreon or become a channel member, which will get you shouted out, guarantee an opportunity to chat with me, and make your ideas much more likely to become reality. Plus, it's only 17 cents a day. Even just 20 subscribers to my Patreon would mean a lot to me, and help me put out even better content. Check me out on Reddit or Discord using the links in the description if you want to chat, or check out my second channel, The Loophole, for some extra content. This is Causal Loop, signing off. Peace.